When I started my professional career, I was an entertainment publicist in New York. And part of my job was reading columns in the 7 newspapers that were there at the time. And the columns I liked the best were the Crusaders. People like Jimmy Breslin, like Bob Considine, and like Pete Hamill. There was a question that I always wanted to ask somebody that was part of this group. You were at the hotel in California the night Robert Kennedy was assassinated, and you actually grabbed or helped grab Sirhan Sirhan.
I did.
What was that moment like?
It was such an abrupt surprise, because Kennedy turned across his own body to shake hands with a Mexican busboy in the kitchen. So his head was this way. Sirhan was here, began firing and hit him behind the ear. But it all happened like this. I didn't know who it was, and neither did I. Was walking backwards, making notes, watching what he was doing. He was coming through as were several other reporters. And my instinct was just grab this guy. And oddly, because Sirhan's arm was straight out and being pushed down by me, by Rosie Greer, a couple of other people.
I think Rayford Johnson was there.
Yeah, but he was not right in there. But as it went down, he was still firing. So it's why the people behind Bobby got 3 or 4 of them got shot in the legs, because the arm was being forced down while he was still firing. And then it was over, and we hauled and lifted him up on these steam tables, and somebody else then pulled him all the way to the end of the room, you know, to say, we don't want Dallas here. Somebody yelled, Jesse Unruh from California, you know, where he didn't want somebody the killer killed.
Yeah.
And held him down there, and you could see Bobby. I thought he was shot in the neck. I couldn't. The blood was here, and his hand was bloody. And his eyes were still. He lived for one more day, but you knew that it was gone. And he was my friend. I had become a friend of his, which was a mistake for a journalist. You know, you should be more objective. You learn. I never was friends with a politician again, because you learn things that you can't put in the paper.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't mean shameful things. I mean, he has an idea, like he wants to take the CIA out of the covert operations thing and make it just intelligence, you know, that kind of thing. When you put that in the paper, somebody'd yell and say,
yeah, of course,
selling out our country. But the abruptness of it, the shock of it, and I think most reporters have the same feeling either when they cover something like this. Your instinct is to just keep making notes, and I just kept making notes. I have them somewhere in the files that just say blam, 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 blam. That's all it says. You know, I'm just writing notes. It doesn't come to you till for hours, because I went to the outside. There were people out by the pool, a big black guy throwing chairs into the swimming pool, people weeping, body taken away. We then went to the hospital and waited outside for hours. But when I got home at about 7 in the morning, I was living at the time in south of Los Angeles, and I had, my little daughter was only 2, the other one was 4, and they came out as I watched television, and they tell me even now they couldn't get over the fact that I was sitting there weeping, because that's when it hits you.
Yeah.
Not when you're in the middle of doing your job.
No, that's the adrenaline.
Yeah, you're doing your job, whether you're in combat somewhere or in the middle of a riot or whatever. The recording of it you turn into a sort of mechanical person on one level. You know, your task is to make what you're seeing completely absorbable and understandable by a reader who you're never going to meet. You know, you're trying to get it right.
Yeah.
You don't want to write something in such a hurry that you're ashamed of it when it comes out. You're trying to get everything that's in front of you onto paper and then go write it. So I think that process, which I've talked to other reporters about it, particularly war correspondents, the process itself saves them from remorse.
Interesting.
I've never had a bad dream about September 11th, though I was from here to that building when the first tower went down. I think because the process of recording and getting out of here, out of your brain and onto paper, does something for it. And I think in the veterans hospitals, that's why they get so many of the veterans with what we used to call shell shock, to write out as best they can what they remember, to get it out of here somewhere. But with Bobby, it was a double wound, because it wasn't that a friend of mine had been murdered, but that I knew it would now change the country.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Pete Hamill, and I'm alive on South Beach.